very powerful film. It is now my great pleasure to introduce the filmmaker, who happens also to be Dutch parliamentarian. I had the pleasure of meeting almost a year ago to the day. I was visiting The Hague, and I wanted to interview Geert Wilders, who was then the leader of what was still a very small party, but who had drawn my eye from America for some time as an outspoken champion of Western liberty and in the face of intensive Islamization of his country. And what really drew me to wish to interview him was the clarity and forthrightness and courage with which he spoke his mind. This is something rare and almost entirely unique in the world, the Western world today at any rate. Because we have all, I think, become tied up and multi-layered and confused and obscured by the teachings of political correctness. And here was this Dutch politician who spoke his mind. He spoke without the protections of the First Amendment, and yet he spoke as though he had them. And it has come to strike me very strongly that we in America have the protections of the First Amendment, but I'm afraid that we don't really use them. And this is someone who does. When you hear him speak, it may be shocking to you. He speaks with, again, this clarity and outspokenness that we've grown completely strange to. But I ask you in listening to him to listen to him as fearlessly as he speaks, because it is his courage that is so inspiring, and it is his courage that has brought him this award tonight. So with that, I would like to bring Geert up to the stage so you can hear what this courage really sounds like.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, my dear friend Diana West, for your kind words. Thank you, America, for your existence. Thank you, the American Freedom Alliance, for inviting me to the US. And last but not least, thank you, the US Border Police, for allowing me to enter this great country. Ladies and gentlemen, I consider it a real honor and a privilege to be here and speak to you tonight in the Ronald Reagan Library. It is indeed a magnificent place. And President Ronald Reagan was an extraordinary man and president, and not just because he once won 49 states, but above all, because President Ronald Reagan was and still is the hope and source of inspiration for many freedom-loving people worldwide. Ronald Reagan was not only the great communicator, he was and still is, for me, a great American hero. Yesterday, exactly 65 years ago, other great American heroes, American soldiers, fought at the Normandy beaches for the freedom of my continent, for the freedom of Europe. And now, ladies and gentlemen, Europe's freedom is at stake once again. Europe might very well be on its way to its destruction. The Islamization is endangering our prosperity, our culture, our values, our freedom, and our civilization. We are now witnessing changes that will forever alter Europe's destiny and might send the continent in what President Reagan once called 1,000 years of darkness. Ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately, free speech is no longer a given in Europe. The most precious of our many liberties indeed is under attack. To exercise free speech has become a dangerous activity. We are, whether we like it or not, we are in the middle of an international jihad against free speech. And I think, of course, you remember the Danish cartoon crisis and what happened to critics of Islam as Salman Rushdie, Ayaan Hirsi Ali, Theo van Gogh, Pim Fortuyn, Oriana Fallaci, the American Rachel Ehrenfeld, and others. I think you might even remember the Austrian politician Susanne Winter, who was recently convicted and given a suspended sentence of 2 years in jail for telling the truth about Mohammed. I think you know that in my own country, the Netherlands, a cartoonist was arrested by no fewer than 10 policemen after he had produced a number of drawings criticizing Islam. And I think you also know that I myself am being prosecuted for the short film you just saw, Fitna, that I've been barred for entering the United Kingdom, that the president of Indonesia said that I would never be allowed to enter his country again, that the most radical imam in Holland is threatening to take me to court as well, and that my country, the Netherlands, at the same time is drafting a parliamentary bill of more protection of Islam, of making it more easy to get people who criticize Islam into jail and legal problems. And one of the powers of this jihad worldwide against free speech is the OIC, the Organization of the Islamic Conference. The OIC aims at the criminalization of criticizing Islam. And as you know, the OIC unfortunately is very, very successful. The UN Human Rights Council and the UN General Assembly have caved into the OIC and have adopted more than once on a yearly basis anti-free speech resolutions. And many Muslims throughout Europe support the OIC and its game. For instance, in Denmark, where 55% of the Danish Muslims think that criticizing Islam, criticizing their religion, should be forbidden. And 64% of the Muslims in Denmark support the curtailing of free speech. That is Europe today. And ladies and gentlemen, indeed, it's not only Islam that is the problem. Islam is the biggest problem, but not our only problem. We also face the threat of cultural relativism, which holds, and a lot of politicians fool you, that all cultures are equal. Well, let me tell you, they are not. Not all cultures are equal. Our culture, based on Christianity, on Judaism and humanism, is far better and far more civilized than the Islamic culture, and I'm proud to say so. However, unfortunately, most of the Western elites have converted to this sick ideology of cultural philosophy, of cultural relativism. Governments, courts, trade unions, university, the media, all of them are blinded by political correctness and have chosen the easy side